Hi guys, Tristan Ogilvy here, sitting alongside Lucy O'Brien.
Hello, Tristan.
Who, if you've been paying attention to the site IGN.com, has just spent several weeks, well, not the whole duration of those weeks, but once a week for the past month or so, reviewing the episodes of Resident Evil Revelations 2.
That is correct. That is correct.
The fourth episode is done and dusted, and that's the final one, unless you count the bonus episodes.
They just keep coming. They just keep coming.
But anyways...
That is one thing that you can say for Resident Evil Revelations 2, is that there's a lot of content.
Right.
There's a lot in there.
Quantity, not quality, perhaps, is their design philosophy. So now that it's all out there and you can go on IGN and see all the reviews for each of the episodes, we thought we'd give you an overall season review. Would you call it a season review? It's
a season review, yeah.
So Lucy, overall, let's just jump straight to the point. Overall, do you think this has been a good Resident Evil game collectively?
Listen, I mean, I think it is good. I think good is the word for it.
Right.
I think that it has some really big problems, but it also has these moments of real brilliance where story stakes and gameplay sort of marry together in a really perfect way that left my sort of hands sweating, my heart pumping, which is what a Resident Evil game should do.
Yeah, ideally.
So look, I'll just starting off, I played this on the Xbox One,
Yes.
but it's also available on PS4, PS3, 360, PC, and Vita.
Nice.
I unfortunately didn't get to try any.
Is it on Vita?
It is actually on Vita.
Okay,
It's not developed by Capcom. It was
Red flag.
yeah, it's developed by Sony.
Oh, okay. I've heard of it.
But no, I played on the Xbox One, and I mean, just to sort of start, there is the big difference in Revelations 2 from the original Revelations is that you've got two pairs of characters. No, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, two pairs of two.
Yep.
Two pairs. I could just say two pairs.
I mean, I don't play poker, so
and
flush with characters.
Unlike the original Revelations, where your partner was just essentially useless. Your partner was basically there just to feed into the story, essentially.
Right.
It didn't actually change the gameplay.
Was
whatsoever.
it more of a hindrance?
Just
not?
just sort of not totally
Ineffectual.
irrelevant.
Okay,
totally ineffectual.
Got it.
Whereas in Revelations 2, your secondary character is actually quite useful, and a lot of the gameplay is sort of baked around the idea that you utilize their skills as well as your own skills.
Because they sort of complement yours, right?
Yeah, well, they complement and...
Okay, that's not true. I didn't review the game. I don't know why I said that.
Well, they do insofar as the game has been, the gameplay has been built around
right.
their skills,
that's what I meant.
Even if their skills aren't necessarily skills. I mean, well, let's sort of take Claire and Moira, for example.
Yep.
So Moira Claire is your usual. She's a run and gunner. Claire is a run and gunner. Moira she basically has this torch, and she doesn't want to use guns. So her ability is to shine a torch is to blind enemies, and also like find hidden objects and whatnot.
Right.
On Barry and Natalia's side, Barry's your sort of tank, whereas Natalia is she's got a mysterious ability where she can see enemies through walls, and also
is that mysterious ability ever explained?
You know what? It might have been in the ending. I mean, sort of Revelations 2 ends in such a way that you could sort of explain anything or not explain anything.
Gotcha.
It's very ambiguous.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, so that is like when the gameplay does really complement those two sets of skills, I think Resident Evil Revelations 2 really sings. When for example, when there's this great section, I think it was in the second episode. I'm just trying to remember, where basically Moira and Claire are trying to escape this building that's coming down around them in flames, and they have to each, because you can switch between each character.
Of course. Yeah. Or play co-op, right?
Or play co-op,
Yep.
exactly. And co-op's a lot of fun.
Yep.
Playing with someone else is a lot of fun. There's a lot of shrieking involved. You've got to, one character has to sort of turn a valve, classic
thing.
Resident Evil, the valve, in order to let the other characters through. But when you're, that the stakes, that there's like an enemy approaching the vulnerable character. It's that kind of teamwork works really well.
Yeah.
And those are the parts of Revelations 2 that I really, really liked. Like those sort of like the parts that really complemented the two sets of skills. And I really wish that there had been more of them, because I think if there's one thing you can say across the board with Resident Evil Revelations 2, my word would be inconsistency.
Right.
So these moments of real sort of gameplay brilliance, and also the sense that the stakes are really high and that sort of thing. They do come by rather occasionally. Well, I would have liked to have seen more of them, because there was just too much time spent just wandering around corridors and shooting concrete corridors and shooting zombies in the head. And I get it, that's a Resident Evil sort of staple, but it's grown really stale. It's grown really stale, and I would have liked to have just seen sort of different options explored, different sort of ways of utilizing the environment. And when they did come across, when I did have that option to play like that, it was so great, and it really frustrated me that I didn't see more of it.
And what do you think a sort of, you mentioned a bit about the characters and the gameplay. What about the actual story? Was the story an interesting one, and did it benefit from being episodic?
Well, I tell you what, like I was actually really... Every single episode ends on a kind of cliffhanger, which, in my opinion, is the only justification I can see for actually making this series episodic.
Right.
Because, I was compelled to keep playing because I wanted to know what was going on.
Yep.
So, Capcom essentially teases this mystery where everyone's being kind of taunted by this puppet master, this overseer, across both chapters, across both timelines.
Right.
And that's really interesting, and it's got a kind of Saw-like twist insofar as they've got these bracelets around their wrists that sort of contain them. I really dug the story right up until the fourth episode, where it just kind of it didn't quite unravel entirely. It sort of... It relied too much on over-exposition in order to quickly explain what was going on, to try and explain the complexities of the plot. So, there's tons of, really, really awkward and clunky reading material littered around the...
A lot of diary entries.
A lot of diary entries just scattered around.
Get a padlock for your diary.
To explain, what the evil mastermind was up to.
Yeah.
So, just those kinds of... really awkward shortcuts that I thought really underserved the story. And it's just it's sort of, I got the sense that Capcom was losing confidence in itself and confidence and it was losing confidence in its own story. Whereas in the first 3 episodes, I really felt like it was telling, it knew, I felt that the game knew what it was doing, that the story was going in a very, it was building up to something really special, and then it kind of just stumbled at the finishing line, which is a real shame. But on the whole, I did find the story quite compelling, and I will also just want to give a call out to there's a sort of sense of humor that's weaved throughout it as well that I really appreciated. Again, it was by the 4th episode, it had all but disappeared, which is a real shame because
I ran out of gags. It's the story of my life.
But I really enjoyed it. The sort of the one-liners and the but also it's self-deprecation, a little bit of subversion, in there. I really enjoyed that, and it was a shame that we kind of lost that by the 4th episode.
Right. What about outside of the story? Obviously, and I believe one of your favorite aspects, and certainly the one that has the most replay value, is the raid mode.
Yeah.
Is that got a shining light in the package?
The raid mode is great, like it was in the first Revelations. And I think it was also it was also really great in contrast to the main game, particularly when it came to environments, because the environments in the primary campaign and the enemies in the primary campaign are really dull.
Yep.
Just really...
And reused a lot, right?
Just reused.
Yep.
Just, the same sorts of, you'll if you face a boss, then you'll probably face him again in the next episode.
Right. There's a different color at least, right?
Not even a different
What?
color. They didn't even go that far. I mean, it was totally justified in the initial, in the original Revelations, because of course that came from that was a 3DS port. So there were obviously restrictions there in the first place. But coming into Revelations 2, it seems really weird that they were just reusing these character models. Right. And also it really felt that they were reusing environments. Yep. Whether or not they actually were, I don't know. It just really felt like it. They were so dull. And the one thing I will say for the raid mode is that these are sort of shooter gallery style smaller little arenas. So they were way more interesting. Some of the levels threw back to the original Revelations. It was just I felt that the raid mode for me had way more sort of appeal, even as a little standalone free to play game, than the actual main campaign. So yeah, I mean, I'm still playing raid mode, which is really testament to.
There's heaps to sort of unlock. And
there's so much to unlock, and one of the characters after you finish the campaign, one of the characters that you can unlock is definitely something to work towards.
Okay.
So
Tofu from Resident Evil 2.
That's who it is. That's who it is.
I thought so. So I guess we're at the business end of this commentary. What is your overall impressions and score?
Right. Well, despite my criticisms, I did actually have a good time with this game. So I am rating it a 7. It's a fun ride. At times, really exhilarating. But I wish it had just aimed a little higher. Right. I guess is what I'm sort of coming away with this game. I just wish it would have aimed a little higher, and I really hope that if there is another Revelations that it's mixed up a bit more, that there's a little bit more sort of inventiveness.
Right. Me too. Thank you very much, Lucy.
Thank you, Tristan.
For all things Resident Evil Revelations 2, including a ton of reviews and video reviews and stuff done by Lucy O'Brien, stick with IGN. Lucy, you can go lie down now.
Thank you.